Okay, we ready to go, Joe? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's great to have you here at the VectorVest International Online Forum. Today is Saturday, June 3rd, 2023. I am very happy to be hosting today's session. Very big shoes to fill. Mr. Stan Heller is not here today. We see his lovely picture there. I'm going to do the best I can. Luckily, I am joined by two of my friends and colleagues. Mr. Jerry D'Ambrosio will be coming on in a little bit, as well as Mr. Todd Shaffer. And we're going to do our best to live up to the high standards of the VectorVest International Online Forum.
So maybe the three of us can equate to one stand.
That's what I'm counting on. That's what I'm counting on, Todd. Let's see what we can do. Big shoes to fill, but we're very happy to be here, and we're looking forward to spending some time. So if you see me looking around, I got my other screen looking at YouTube, see who's coming into the room and say hello. We have folks saying hi to you guys over there as well. So let's get ready to jump right in. Just remember, everything you see here today is provided for educational purposes. Okay. The information is designed to empower you to make your own investment decisions. These are yours and yours alone to make. So here's our agenda for Saturday, June 3rd, 2023. Again, thank you all for being here and taking the time. I'm going to talk a little bit about each market, the current trend. We'll look at the color guard. Basically, I'm going to do a kind of a short daily color guard report on each market that we're looking at, see what's happening in the markets around the world, literally around the world. Once I'm done doing that, we're going to have Jerry come in, and he's going to delve much deeper. He's going to go into some graphs and go a little deeper into where the markets are, where they're moving. Jerry's great at looking at the technical analysis and delving deep into there. So he's going to do that, and then Todd's going to come on a little bit later with a great keynote presentation unveiling our all-new Successful Investor Coaching Room. And Todd's going to come on and talk all about that. So we have a great day, I think, in store for you guys. Again, thanks for being here. We're going to go up to about 12:30 or however long it takes us to make sure you guys are where you want to be. The recording will be available on YouTube immediately after the webinar, right? So it's the same location on our VectorVest YouTube channel. And then the slides, VectorVest will send you an email Monday afternoon that will have a link to today's slides as well. So check your email folders if it's not in your main inbox. Okay, everybody good to go? I saw so many people are typing in there. I see Rick is here. Rick, how you doing? Neil, Calvin. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about the overall markets here. So we'll start on the slide here. We have VectorVest Canada up here, and I've got the US up here as well. And we'll take a look at the homepage. VectorVest in Canada up over 5.5% on the year to date, which is, hey, listen, which is a good thing if you consider where we've been since back in November of 21, right? At least for the year, and it is already June 3rd. So that's pretty good that we're in positive territory at all, right? So on the Canadian side, the color guard tells us that it's mildly bullish. VectorVest does still advocate caution when buying stocks at this time. We do see the green light in the price column, which is great. It's up. The composite is up week over week and day over day. So that's how we know we have the green light in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we went week over week, we're up, and day over day, closing at 25.85 when we round that off. So nice move in the price column on the Canadian side. A nice tick up also on relative timing. For anyone who's new, relative timing, of course, is the short-term trend of a stock, or in this case, we're looking at the VectorVest composite. So that trend ticked up. We'd like to see it get above 1, but it's moving up nicely, at least day over day and over the last few trading days. And then also what I like to see, and one that we saw on the US side, even a bigger bounce there, but this is a nice bounce on the Canadian side, is the buy-sell ratio ticking up from 0.19 up to 0.26. So as you guys know, the buy-sell ratio, we take the stocks in the database, get a buy-sell or hold rating. Every day we take the number of buys divided by the number of sells. Very important number to give an indication of that underlying strength or weakness. What's been troubling me a little bit, especially on the US side, and is that the market has risen, but up until the last day or two, not a lot of the underlying stocks. It's been a very narrow move in a lot of stocks. So what we're seeing now, especially on the US side, is more stocks taking part in that upward movement. So that's a great sign. Now, listen, the buy sell ratio in Canada has a way to go. You know, it's got a long way to move. We want to see that get closer to one. But I think historically, the buy sell ratio in Canada has been a little, usually a little lower than what, just based on the makeup of the market, than the US side. The MTI, or the market timing indicator, that's our underlying trend of the market. It is at 0.84 in Canada. That's a nice tick. Listen, for the MTI, that's 4 ticks from 0.80 the prior day from Thursday's close is a pretty good move for the MTI. The MTI, or the market timing indicator, is derived from taking price, RT, BSR, rolling them into one formula that gives us our underlying trend of the market, which is down because the MTI is below 1 on a 0 to 2 scale. That underlying trend is currently down. But again, ticking up nicely from Thursday's close into Friday's activity. And then our overall call, our confirmed call, is still to the downside as of today's close, as of Friday's close. So that remains in place. I'm going to let Jerry's going to, I guess, go into the to the market timing graphs. So I'm going to leave that for Jerry there to take a quick look at. I know he's got a lot of great information to share with you guys. So, and it says on the down below, the gains in the energy sector and optimism surrounding the U.S. debt ceiling bill passing, which it ultimately did, combined to send the price of the composite higher over the last 5 trading days. Right, so we'll need to see the price of the composite move higher for one more week to give us a preliminary signal of a sustainable uptrend. And all that really means is that what we're looking for, when the composite's up week over week for 2 consecutive weeks and day over day, right, above the 65-day moving average with the MTI above 1, then we're going to get our confirmed up call. Okay, that's when we'll get our confirmed up call. But listen, we need follow through, and if you want some good information on follow through and what we mean by that when we talk about it, please watch Jerry's presentation that he just did this week. That's on the homepage right there. So that's on the Canadian side, up 5.5% year to date, green light in the price column. And listen, the color guard as it is on the US side, I'll switch to the US side in a moment. To me, this is how the color guard works. This is why it's such a powerful tool, right? It's been working perfectly when there's green, there's yellow, there's red. So it's telling us, just as when Jerry goes into the market timing graph, we'll see certainly on the US side, and I believe on the Canadian side as well, there's been that channel that we've been trading in without a real clear trend in the market. And that's exactly what the color guard is telling us, and which is why it's such a powerful tool, telling us to use caution. Okay. I'll let those guys handle. Those guys are moderating and handle the questions. They're going by too fast for me to look at. On the US side, so we're up 5% year to date on the US side as well. And just like in Canada, the color guard is mildly bullish. VectorVest advocates caution here as well when buying stocks at this time, right? So what we're looking at is a very similar pattern here. The price is up again, day over day and week over week. It's our second green light in a row. So we certainly like to see that because the composite's up week over week. We have that under the trend header, the primary trend is up because the composite's up week over week. Green light is there because not only is it up week over week, it's also up day over day. So that leaves us with the green light. Relative timing, again, for the relative timing column, from 0.93 to 0.98 is a pretty significant move. It's not often we see it move that many ticks to the upside just on a day over day basis. Remember, the RT tracks day over day, week over week, month over month, year. So it moves that way. But for a day over day basis, that's a pretty big move. And of course, we've had two nice up days in a row. So the buy sell ratio column. Now I've done the daily color guard a couple of times over the last few weeks, and I've been focusing on the buy-sell ratio, right? There's a lot of us here at VectorVest, I think, would agree, other than looking at the price column, the green light, and the movement of price, that right here on the color guard, the buy-sell ratio is often referred to as, if you had asked one of us what's the most important indicator here, which one would you really not want to do without? And I know my answer, and I think some of my colleagues would agree, is the buy-sell ratio. Right. I want to know how many companies, how many stocks are taking part in this upward movement, and to finally see the buy sell ratio move. I've been saying, the buy sell ratio can't get out of its own way. Right. It's been flat for a long time. It hasn't been over one for, I don't know, close to 2 months on the buy sell ratio. So that's a huge tick to the upside, just telling us more and more stocks are starting to take part in this upward movement. So I think one of the stronger bullish signals that I've seen on the US side. That's just my take on it. But the other huge move, right? The other huge move is on the MTI, right? I don't know. I'll ask Jerry or Todd if you want to chime in. I don't remember ever seeing a move that big on the MTI from 0.82 up to 0.96 a day over day. I don't know that I've ever seen a move that large. Maybe it's happened. I don't know, but I just don't remember one. That's a big move. So closing Thursday at 0.82, closing at 0.96 on Friday. Now, of course, we need that to get above one so that our underlying trend would also go to the upside. And then again, here on the US side, we are still in a confirmed down call. I believe it's next Thursday is the soonest we can get the confirmed up call. I have to double check that, but I believe it's next Thursday. So down below, it says the debt ceiling deal and a robust May jobs report combined to send the price of the composite higher over the last 5 trading days. Now we'll need to see the market continue to move higher for a second consecutive 5 trading day period, and the BSR to close above 1 to get that confirmed up call. And yeah, so there it was. So yeah, that could happen as early as next Thursday. Okay. And we'll have to wait and see, right? Once they digest those job numbers over the week, will that? These are rhetorical questions I'm asking. I don't know the answer. Will that cause the Fed to pause? Will it cause them to raise interest rates because of a strong jobs market? I have no idea. It's what we have to be careful of, and why we heed the color guard when it still says, even with those numbers moving, that we still advocate caution when buying stocks at this time. Okay. Over here on the right, so we have for the month of May, all of our indexes were down. The composite was down, and all of our 5 programs. Year to date, however, the EU up almost 8.5%, UK up just about 6%, and AU up almost just under 5% as well. So for the year, moving up nicely. For the month, even with yesterday's, actually that was June, so disregard that. But May was a little tougher month, but June certainly starting out on a much stronger foot there. So that is the U.S. and the Canadian side. Okay, again, as I said, Jerry's going to go deeper into the market timing graph. We also have Australia, EU, and the UK here as well. And we can take a quick look at those green lights again. In the EU, green lights across the board here. So VectorVest advocates buying safe, undervalued stocks that are rising in price because the color guard is bullish. Mildly bullish here in Australia, as well as the UK. And some highlighted headlines here, with the Reserve Bank of Australia's rate decision on deck for next week. Proceed with caution. So still some headlines we're fighting, still some potential headwinds out there. So you still have to be careful. Again, for the follow through that we're going to look for, Jerry's going to talk much more about it, and please watch his presentation from this week, because this is when you need it, right? You want to be careful. Great days in the market, couple of days, but in my opinion, anyway, I still need to see some follow through to to feel a little more confident in it. On the EU side, with the BSR already above 1, we could receive a confirmed up call signal as early as Wednesday if the market continues to move higher. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then here in the UK, with inflation and interest rate concerns still lingering, again, proceed with caution. Right, and that's true on the U.S. side too, right? You still have inflation and interest rate concerns that are out there. So all of the hurdles haven't been removed yet. Okay. All right. So that's a quick review of where, it's nice to see the green. We'll see if it follows through. A quick review of where our current markets sit, for all that great information right there found on the homepage. Remember, we have our emotional market cycle, right? So we're looking for, that MTI to continue to move higher. Again, it had the big move on the US side, moving above 1. And you guys have been through this, right? The higher it goes, the more we don't want to become overconfident, and we stay disciplined, right? And what we don't want to do at any time, well, I don't care where these numbers are, is allow emotion to get in the way here. That's the one cardinal sin that you can commit, is allowing emotions to get in the way. And that includes, the fear of missing out, right? We've had a good couple of days. Let's make sure that follow through is there, just to add one different emotion there. But that's where we are. That's where we stand. And real quick, we'll talk about the essays. Two great essays across the board. On the Canadian side, Stan, as usual, wrote a great essay called "Be Prepared." If I go into the Canadian version to get to that essay, simply go to the Views tab. And when you click on the views, it's going to take you into all of the great information that's at your fingertips here. But I'm just going to go right here for this weekly newsletter, click on Be Prepared. You get the market in review, and then you get Stan's essay, which, as I said, as usual, just some great information here to walk through. And he's talking about, using watch lists along with the NPI 3-day search, and how great the search is on its own, quite frankly, but the ability to add a watch list to it and narrow down those choices is really great. So not only does Stan write the essay, but he put in also a video there for you to watch as well. So be prepared. Again, take the time to go through that essay. And then on the US side, this week's essay, again, written by Miss Angie Akers, A Fool's Errand. Right, and she talks about the power of market timing. And I thought this was a great essay. I tell the story all the time. Remember, guys, when we'd go to the money shows and things, and people would go up on their presentations, and the first thing they'd say is, no way you can time the market. And then in the very next breath, right, as Angie wrote here, they would talk about, what system they use to track the trends and time the market, right, in the very next breath. Just as Angie wrote here about the talking head on CNBC. We don't predict, right? What Angie's writing here, VectorVest does not predict where the market's going to go. Those indicators show you, right, from the homepage, and what Jerry's going to talk about in the market timing graphs. They allow you to recognize trends, short, intermediate, long-term trends, depending on what type of investment style you're employing. So that's what it does, and it's just such a great essay reinforcing the power of that. So I strongly urge you to read through that essay as well. It'll take us back into the slides. So go to the Views tab, enjoy those. Again, from here, I am going to, I have the pleasure to ask Mr. Jerry D'Ambrosio to come in. And as I said, he's going to go a little deeper into the UK and US market review with the graphs up. He's going to talk a little bit more about some technical insights on these. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jerry. Jerry, it's all yours.
Thank you, my friend. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday to everybody. Beautiful day here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. We broke a couple of weekend streaks of rain, beautiful Monday through Friday, rain on the weekends. Nice to see that change here. So hopefully the weather's nice for you guys. Just like Jim, I have 3 monitors, so I'll be moving my head back and forth. I want to see some of your guys' comments, and we'll go from there. So in this segment, we're going to do a little bit on the UK and US market review, and I've also cherry picked 5 stocks for you folks, 1 from each country. They're either setting up nicely for a potential trade or have just recently kind of triggered a trade, broke out of a pattern of some sort. So we'll go through the pattern that I recognized, the breakout that occurred, and you really had to trade it. And then a couple of stocks that we'll look at as well are just setting up. So it's good to look historically, recent history on, hey, this stock just broke out of resistance, for example. Here's how you play it. Here's how you trade it. Here's what you look for. And then some stocks that haven't broken out yet. So we'll leave that with you guys. I'm going to get into the program, and we'll start with the U.S. market. Let me get myself situated here. Okay. So here's the U.S. market. I'll get to Tesla in a moment, but we'll look at a market timing graph first. Jim did a great job just talking about our indicators, the trend of our indicators, the color guard. We'll dive a little bit deeper here. Now, one of the things, though, you got to note is that all of our market timing indicators are still below 1. That's always important to note and recognize. Remember, above 1 is good. Below 1 is considered unfavorable. They're all moving in the right direction, right? They're all moving towards the value of 1. If I take off the BSR RT there, you could see the MTI had been moving up. We were seeing, let me put my crosshair cursor on, we were seeing higher lows, even as the market was still kind of trading in this channel here. So if I zoomed in right in this area here, market really moving nowhere during that time period. A little bit of a bullish divergence. You guys see that? A little bit of a bullish divergence between the VVC price. Going to be kind of just generic here, or see market lower there, right? Also flat there. You can see this little bit of a bullish, did I say bearish divergence? Bullish divergence between the price of the VVC and the MTI. So with the market moving sideways there, kind of recognizing with that MTI divergence, underlying trend weakening, underlying trend down, but the underlying trend weakening there with the higher lows being put in on the MTI. Now, great jobs report on Friday. Debt ceiling bill passed in the House, some optimism there. Nice breakout, almost a 2% move, a little bit more than a 2% move. So Jim was talking about the performance of the VectorVest composite in May and how we lost 2%. Well, we made that back already just in one day yesterday. Nice day on Thursday as well. So just in 2 days, the first 2 days of June, we made back all of May's losses. Somebody said sell in May and go away. Are we still set up for that? Well, May's over, and it wasn't that terrible of a month. So I think, optimism moving forward for sure, and we have to play the market as it's given to us. So right now with the nice breakout, all of our market timing indicators moving higher nicely, really big move there on the buy to sell ratio, big move on the RT as well. Things are looking much better than they were here, right? Hard right edge there, May 26th. I mean, boy, it was getting frustrating for I know me trying to manage our swing trading coaching group portfolio and trying to get on the right side of this thing, and it was tough. Finally got on the right side of it. A couple of long positions performing really well there over the last couple of days. Was really patient with those, and a nice breakout there. So I'll take off RT. Again, all of our market timing indicators still below 1, but all higher on a week over week basis. If I go to add parameter, this is something that we've talked a lot about in our daily color guard reports recently, how the VVC retraced or retested. Go here, let's go here, dateline. Retested support a number of times there, May 4th. You saw some congestion there. VVC did dip a little bit below there in March. This 54.92 support zone came back to retest at May 4th. Another retest on May 25th. Another retest on May 31st. And long lower wicks, guys, right? Longer lower wicks. I wouldn't call these necessarily very long, but longer lower wicks at support does suggest a move to the upside, right? It suggests that sellers are losing a bit of control. Buyers are coming in at support. They did it here briefly there on May 4th, came in there May 25th, came in again on May 31st, pulling the market off of the lows, closing about in the middle of the range on both of those days. One white soldier pattern on June 1st, confirmation absolutely yesterday. Now, where do we find ourselves though technically, right? We find ourselves right back at this 57.11 resistance zone. Again, this is the US market. Head and shoulders pattern that I've talked a lot about in various webinars. Left shoulder, head, the right shoulder was forming. I don't think we're necessarily out of the woods yet. This resistance level there, which happens to be at those shoulder levels, very significant resistance zone. Boy, if we can break above 57.11, we may retest the highs, and that would be fantastic. A lot of upside to the next resistance zone there of 59.78. We haven't seen those prices since February. Haven't seen the market at that level since February. But a break above 57.11 would be fantastic. Okay. But a strong move again, good jobs data, optimism surrounding the debt ceiling. That's in a couple of days. That's next week, right? June 3rd, June 5th is the what they call a hard deadline. I'm not sure what hard deadlines actually mean in Congress, but June 5th, I'm hearing is the day, and that's what, Monday of next week. So big week next week for sure. If we break above there 57.11, we got some upside there to the resistance again at 59.78. Okay, all right. So let's get into the Canadian program. That's the U.S. market. Here's the Canadian market. A little bit of a different story. We're not quite breaking out so much here in Canada. VBC got a 65-day simple moving average. MTI, buy to sell ratio, RT, same indicators. It does look like, MTI really isn't moving. That's a more important indicator of the MTI in the Canadian market than the buy to sell ratio. Buy to sell ratio historically, even with uptrends, strong uptrends, BSR doesn't get above 1 all that much. You could see here, even in this strong uptrend, February, March, April, May, June, July, right? Market just continuing to move higher. BSR kind of drifted a little lower, stayed below 1, with the MTI also drifting a little lower there as well. But the MTI, a much more important indicator than the buy to sell ratio in Canada. And that is the indicator, the MTI, that we use in our Canadian confirmed calls. So for a confirmed up call, by the way, I'm sorry, I'll get back to it. For a confirmed call in the US, the Canadian market, the VBC, same rules, has to go up for 2 consecutive 5-day trading periods. It has to be above the 65-day simple moving average, and the MTI has to be above 1. So the price of the VBC, if I go to the homepage here in Canada, we got a green light in the price column of the color guard, but that June 1st there, Thursday, was the first day that the primary wave turned up. So very similar guidance and a very similar situation. It looks like Thursday of next week is the earliest that we could get a confirmed up in Canada as well. The MTI does have to go above 1. We're not looking at the buy to sell ratio anymore in the Canadian market in terms of confirmed calls. It's the MTI. So with the VBC already above the 65-day moving average, it has to move up for another week, and the MTI has to go above 1 for us to get a confirmed up. And if I put the confirmed calls on, you could see we're currently still in a confirmed down. And there, the confirmed up, VBC had gone up for 2 weeks, crossing above the 65-day moving average, and the MTI just peaked its head above 1 there on November 15th. Nice run thereafter. Okay. Looking at things on a more technical perspective as well, I always like to look at support and resistance. Jim has said it before. Jim is the manager of retirement services at VectorVest, so he doesn't use support and resistance all that much in his coachings. But he's said before, he said if there's one technical indicator that he would look at, it's support and resistance. Very, very important technical indicator. And if I put support and resistance on, VectorVest finds support there at 24.39. I agree with that. There's plenty of touches in that zone. It finds resistance at 26.15. I'm there as well. I also see, though, a zone right there. You guys see that? There's also a zone there. And if I were to change my support and resistance settings, we would find that zone. So if I right clicked on the support and resistance there, change the settings, maybe looked at less bars. Nope, that's not going to do it. Maybe the size. There we go. I was close. Size of the reversals, size of the support and resistance zones. I like to split the difference a lot. You know, the default settings are strong reversals and thin zones. If I would actually just move the zones to an average size zone, basically finds that support zone that I was looking at right here. Okay. Nevertheless, I'm not really seeing a retracement off of a support zone. I really wouldn't call that 25.46 a support zone. Big day though. We are approaching resistance. So on a technical basis, 1, 2, 3 touches in that 26.15 supply zone. We're approaching it once again. If we break above that zone, we really don't have resistance again all the way up until the high, which was on March 29th. Okay. So that is, any questions, guys, on the US Canadian market timing graphs? Our guidance is still bullish across the board. We got a green light in the price column of the color guard in Canada. Primary wave is up. We're looking to take long positions on Monday if the market continues to follow through. You guys watched the special presentation, talked a little bit about follow through, exactly what that looks like. I tried to do it in real time so you get an idea of, you know, at 10 o'clock, what you need to see in order to act, to take either a long position or a short position. And with the green light in the price column of the color guard on Thursday, we got some really strong follow through. Now, we didn't have it at 10 o'clock in the morning. If you guys were watching, we didn't have it at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it didn't happen until about 10:30 or 10:45 or so. But it eventually did follow through, and nice strong day on Friday, on yesterday. Okay. Yes, Kim, I will be showing some support and resistance as well. So let me go back into the U.S. market here quick. Wanted to talk about our other market timing signals as well. We got a DEW up. We got a DEW up signal. Man, this signal has whipsawed. Let's see, we're looking at, let's see, end of March, April, May. 2 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in 2 months. That's a lot for, you know, for any signal to whipsaw. But DEW, a little bit more of a moderate timing model. Slow, a little faster than the confirmed calls, slower than the green light buyer, kind of that middle of the road timing system. But the VVC did close above the 30-day weighted moving average yesterday, and the DPO went from below 0 to above 0. So DEW up signal, primary wave up, green light in the price column of the color guard. We're very close to a confirmed up call. That could happen as early as next week. Okay. All right. Let's get into some individual stocks here. So Tim, you want to look at some stocks with support and resistance. Here was my pick for the U.S. market. Here's Tesla. We all know Tesla. Tesla approached and retested this $209.88 resistance zone. So it's actually considered support now because the VVC, I'm sorry, the price of the stock just broke above on Friday, that 209.88 resistance zone. These lines that I have drawn on here, I mentioned that the VVC was forming a head and shoulders pattern. Tesla actually was forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern there at the end of last year into this year. Let me take off support and resistance so we can see it a little bit better. So left shoulder here. Okay, here was a valley. Market broke through that low, made a new low there in January. So a lower valley, a rally that petered out almost at the same level that this little weak rally did there at the end of November. Retreat, and that valley happened to stop at the same level that the sell-off stopped in November. So right around that time, we're seeing an inverse head and shoulders pattern forming. It is a bullish reversals pattern, a bullish reversals pattern. The neckline here for the Head and Shoulders right about that level there, and that's kind of resistance, right? So we're finding ourselves right at that inverse Head and Shoulders neckline here with Tesla. Really good volume over the last 3 days, higher than average. If I right click, I go to add moving average, simple, 40-day. I'll change it to a 50-day. Much higher than average volume there over the last 3 days. So that's what you want to see on a breakout or a breakout above resistance, is you want to see that breakout occur on higher than average volume. Nice setup here with Tesla. If you guys were waiting for this type of a breakout, significant resistance breakout, you got it. You got it on Friday. We, of course, want to wait for follow through on Monday before taking Tesla. And we can see you have resistance again overhead at 267.95. That's $54 upside there. That's almost 20%, 25%. Nice upside move to the to overhead resistance at 267.95. Okay, so nice setup there on Tesla. Let me go into the Canadian program. HPS.A. Now this hasn't broken out quite yet. So this is the hard right edge here. Bull flag pattern. That's kind of why I chose this one. Nice strong up move there, end of April. Really heavy volume. And then we see this consolidation, right? This down sloping period of consolidation that we haven't quite broken out of yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mini waves. Dr. David Paul talks about really the importance of there being at least 4 to 5 little mini waves within the consolidation period of a bull flag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really expecting a breakout here, and look at the volume for the most part during this drift lower, right? Other than this one big up day here, a lower volume, lower than average volume. So if I go to add moving average again on volume, put a 50-day moving average, you could see higher than average volume on the move up. And then for the most part, aside from a couple of days here, lower than average volume during this downsloping consolidation period. What I'm looking for, and this is something, if you guys trade the Canadian market, I would put it in a watch list. Almost saw a breakout on Friday, not quite, because the volume wasn't behind us. We didn't see conviction there quite as much as we want to see it, quite as heavy as we want to see it on a breakout. But a nice setup here, though, really nice setup. So keep this one in your watch list. You guys trade the Canadian market. Expect a breakout here. If the market continues to move higher, I would expect a breakout here with a bull flag. If you did get a breakout, initial stop right below the lowest low within the pattern. Right below the lowest low within the pattern. It looks like right just recently there, the last retracement off of that lower trend line would be your lowest low. That's where you would set your initial stop with a bull flag. With a profit target, all I would do is I take the bottom of the line, which is 39, the top of the line, which is 46. That's a difference of $7. And then what you do is you add $7 to the closing price of the breakout candle. There's your initial profit target. That's why I like bull flags, because they already have, hey, this is where you get out. This is where at a loss. This is where you get out if you make money. Nice structure there. Setup is already laid out there for you. You just got to do a little bit of math to figure out where you're gonna get out. Okay, I wouldn't need it to break above the high. $45, no, just a breakout there on high volume. I wouldn't need it to break above the high. You don't need a breakout above the high with a bull flag. You just need a breakout away from the consolidation period, really above that lower trend line that you draw that connects the lower highs. So I wouldn't need to see a breakout above that trend line. All right, so that was the US. Which one do I want to show you guys next? Let's see. No, not that one. This one. Here is VectorVest 7 Europe, TPEIR.A. This was a recent breakout. So if I just zoom in here, excuse me, hard right edge, May 19th. This, folks, is what's called an ascending triangle. Ascending triangle. Higher lows, but obviously we're not seeing higher highs. It's a very strong resistance zone at $2.42. So what I would look for is I'd look for a breakout above that level, right? That's what you look for. This is a classic ascending triangle. What's under the hood with an ascending triangle? Well, you have sellers that are keeping that 242 level from moving any higher. You're seeing sellers do their best to not allow price to move above 242. However, buyers are coming in and putting in higher lows. Something's got to give here, right? Price can't really squeeze in this pattern, forever. Kind of look for a breakout. That's a classic ascending triangle breakout on high volume. I mean, that volume is ideal, obviously. So you talk about a breakout. You want there to be conviction of that breakout. Can clearly see the breakout there, May 22nd. You don't trade the breakout. You trade the following day on confirmation, and there you had, and there was your confirmation. So really nice setup recently. I'm not going to answer the question: is it too late to get in? You never. I don't ever know if it's too late to get in, right? You never know. You really want to follow the signal when the signal comes, and if you happen to miss it, you might want to wait for a better opportunity. Now, what you might wait for is a retest of 242. That is now support. So if you're saying, I probably missed the boat here, I'm not going to get in, unless it breaks above the high of 290, there would be your next kind of level at which to take the trade long. If you're saying, I think it's a little overbought, I'm going to wait for a retest back to 242, that would make sense as well. Retest back to 242 and a retracement off of that zone is another entry. Okay. No, Kim, no bull flag searches within VectorVest. Really haven't figured out a way to write a scan for bull flags that find enough candidates. So no bull flags. It's a cherry picking technique. Look through watch lists, S&P, TSX, any of the major indice watch lists that we have in all of our programs. To find some good candidates. Now, I showed you this one first because this was a trade that recently broke out of resistance. Here's one in the Australian market that kind of channeling still, but at the upper end of the range. So here's one, and you can see heavy volume starting to come in. Haven't quite broken out above resistance. So if you do trade the Australian market, and you said, and you looked at the previous stock and said, yeah, boy, that 3 touches in that resistance zone and then the breakout, there's your opportunity. Well, here you have more than 3. You have 2. I mean, you have 2 resistance zones basically in the same area. 2 touches there, 3 touches there, and you're working on your 4th one just as of yesterday. So here I would like to see a breakout above 684 to take the trade long. Now, if the market does sell off, if things become a little bit more bearish, a retracement off of resistance would be a good shorting opportunity. I don't know how much shorting is done in Australia, but it's a bearish setup with a retracement off of 684. So we're in this kind of really narrow channel, right? 5 months. Strong support at 622, strong resistance at 684, also there at 665. We're at the upper end of the range. A breakout above 684 is bullish, a retracement off of 684, and really a breakdown below 665 is bearish with 622 as your floor there. So while it hasn't broken out yet, this is a watch list type stock, okay? And just see how the next week goes, because then I'll show you the last one here. Was it UK? Yeah. Here's BGEO.L, Bank of Georgia Group. So let me go back first to here. Hard right edge May 4th, 1 touch at 3,032, 2nd touch, 3rd touch, and then your breakout. So recent breakout on May 9th above that resistance zone. Follow through the next day. You could see the volume 2 on the breakout day, right? Good volume there. Not only the day before the breakout, but the day of the breakout. Really heavy volume. Good follow through the next day. So there was your entry there. You may have missed it. Let me fast forward now a couple of days. So here's the retest, guys, of support that I talked about a few stocks ago. There's the retest, right? So you get your breakout above resistance, and a week later, you get your retest of support. And hard right edge now is June 2nd. So retest of support there on an intraday basis, closed in the middle of the range. The stock price continued to move lower. Where has it stopped? I know it can continue to move lower. It's begun to pull back, little profit taking off of the high. It's landed now at support again, 3,032. So this is another watch list type stock. Stochastics I have on the stock as well. Stochastics is really low. So you have an oversold price situation at support which is also a previous high of 3,095. That's my confirmation level there. I know we closed at 3,045, but 3,095 is my confirmation level. That was the high of yesterday. So what would that mean? If you saw price move above 3,095, what would that essentially be? That would be a retracement off of that support level. Again, also a previous high. Likely going to get a stochastics crossover there as well. Good signal, really good signal for this one, BGOE. So a couple of stocks that have recently broken out, a couple of stocks that haven't broken out that you guys might want to put in a watch list. Okay, let's see. Any questions here? Thank you, Drew. Appreciate that. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to turn things over now to Mr. Todd Shaffer. Looking forward to this segment. Todd's going to talk about our new coaching rooms. One in particular, the Successful Investor Coaching Room we just launched. Really excited about it. So take us away, Todd.
All righty. Let's first get our screen going. And still looking for that to come up. I did. All right, and looking forward on the witness. All right, I've got an image, so I'm just going to run with it now. Be bold, be beautiful, and we'll just see how it goes from here. All right. So, Successful Investing Group Coaching Room is officially in existence. We've gone live with this new service, and I try to rein myself in from being overly optimistic here, but lots of promise for this new format for our interaction with our clients, right? So, in this case, the Successful Investing Group Coaching Room is really just the first in a series of rooms. If we can get to the next level, right? So we've officially started using this room for our successful investing coaching clients. And this begins the transition for our interactions away from GoToWebinar. And not to denigrate GoToWebinar, but it has some limitations. First of all, heavily dependent on the email system for notifications, that kind of thing. So it's not very conducive to spur of the moment, ad hoc kinds of sessions and communication between the coaching group and you guys. And of course, when you're in those sessions, you can't chat amongst yourselves, right? Nobody can see the chat. So it keeps it fairly structured. Let's say that to be generous, right? But that means the structure, right? The trade-off is it's not very dynamic, and we try to do that as best we can. But obviously, this format, a live format where we have a visual chat or an open chat, will hopefully be much more so. Of course, that is dependent largely on you, right? So that technology, that environment, the goal is to take our analysis and our investment skills to the next level, right? More interaction, more feedback, more kind of better exchange of ideas, right? So This room designed exclusively for VectorVest users, right? Across all of our disciplines. So the real goal here, right? The real gold ring would be expand our knowledge, our interconnection, between ourselves as a VV Nation, and of course, ultimately, better trading success, right? That is ultimately the goal. So imagine having access to a single dedicated coaching room. This thing's available 24/7, right? So the room is always open. So you can always jump in there, interact with your peers and the coaches. You can kind of scroll back and see what the conversation has been. So no longer limited, right, by the complexity of some of those other social media platforms. I feel like Voldemort, right? Then he who will not be mentioned. So in our coaching rooms, you connect directly with other VectorVest users who, first of all, are like-minded, right? They share your passion for investing. You don't have the distractions, hopefully, that you might see in some other social media platforms, right? So you can also stay connected to the group on your own terms because you're in the driver's seat of, are you at your computer? Are you using your phone? You can use your tablet, right? You can access this coaching room from anywhere, anytime, and it's designed, right, with your convenience in mind, ensuring you never miss out on valuable insights and discussions. We even have an alert system I'll show you here in a minute, right? Real-time alerts that keep you in the loop when there's something important that we want to share, right? And that could be a news item, it could be a particular insight, it could be trading activity, right? The possibilities are endless. So the coaching room provides instant notifications for special events, trades, updates, videos. We can load files to it. And anytime your coach has something valuable to share, we can send that alert. So that'll help you stay ahead of the game and never miss an opportunity to capitalize on market trends. And we played around a little bit this last week where I did some end of market day kinds of updates just to get a feel for what some of the possibilities are and get some feedback from you guys on what's helpful, right? So this coaching room is hopefully more than just a place where we can share information. Of course, we want that to be the case, right? But it also hopefully will help reinforce and build that sense of community that we get among VectorVest users. If you've ever gone to any of our live events, which we do fewer of these days post-COVID, right? But there's a real camaraderie that builds by having like-minded people get together and exchange ideas. So hopefully this being a more dynamic venue will be able to drive some more of that kind of interaction, right? So connect with peers, they understand, and hopefully you'll see after this presentation, they're sharing your goals and your challenges by virtue of which room you choose to be in, right? We try to keep that thematically consistent. So if you're in the successful investing group coaching room, then the people in that room are there to further their understanding and their expertise with that approach, right? Which means that the implication then is that you have goals and challenges, right, for position trading. That's what we're doing in successful investing. So we want to kind of be on that topic. So now we're sharing our goals. We're sharing our challenges as well. The ideas and that we're exchanging, experiences, strategies are all thematically matched. So beyond that, building our community, share your successes, right? Learn from other people's struggles and their triumphs, right? Build some of those relationships and get rid of the scattered information. One of the things when I was on the phones, one of the things that I experienced a lot was people would come to the VectorVest system, and because we're so broadly applicable, right? You can come to VectorVest as an aggressive trader or a buy and hold investor, right? Couple that with a social media experience where you have all those people in the same room and you can get a lot of media noise, right? So these rooms are a little more focused. A supportive environment is what we want to foster, and we can now interconnect with like-minded individuals. All right, so let's talk about how the coaching services themselves work. First of all, there are 4 levels currently established in the VectorVest universe. Successful investing group coaching is the foundational level for those coaching services. The next, by the way, the next service coming online for our coaching room as we roll these out will be Jim with his retirement services. But then there's also swing trading and the ultimate retirement group, which is Ron's option income group. And so those are the 4 coaching levels, and of course one builds on the other. But universally, if you ask me how do I get a good foundation established in the VectorVest universe, well, I'd have you go to successful investing coaching first, right? Establish kind of or benchmark how the system works and how you can trade it effectively. And even though you may not be a position trader, you'll learn the components of any trading system that you can then apply to those other disciplines. All right, but each of these levels, right, each of these coaching groups will have access to their own individual dedicated coaching rooms. All right, so successful investing is just the beginning, although we want you to come and say hello and kind of look at the place, right? So each of the coaching levels will have their own coaches obviously involved, and so it includes their unique coaching, and that if you have access to the Ultimate Retirement Solution Coaching Group, you have access to all of the other levels below it, right? So there may be some of you in the room who already have access to swing trade coaching, for instance, and so you have the other levels included. So if you're already in the coaching services at all, you can come to the room and check it out. So that's our invitation today to do that. And so I'll share the link for you here in just a minute. But our only request is that if you come to that coaching room, we still want to keep it. And I recognize there's a lot of people who are coming to it who, first of all, may not be even familiar with the coaching service, but want to talk about VectorVest in general. Right? Well, we wanted to develop kind of the zeitgeist of this room as a successful investing room. So we ask that you limit your discussion to successful investor methodologies, ideas, buying safe, undervalued stocks rising in price in a rising market, as taught in the Quick Start course in the program, right on the training tab. But of course, yes, you can participate. Let's just keep the conversation there. Now, if you have access to the coaching service, right, then inside the university, you'll see a page that looks just like this guy. And although the placements are changing as we do updates, what you're looking for are these 2 buttons. The first button, Coaching Room Help Videos, not only helps you with navigational aids, but also even has install help videos, that kind of thing. So you can start there. To actually access the room, you simply click the Successful Investor Coaching Room button. So all access now is established through the university. No more email links, right? No, I don't have this. We're in more of, I didn't make the session on time because I couldn't find the email that had the link to this, right? We don't have to do that anymore because we just come to the coaching group and then find the button. And imagine, some of the possibilities as we develop beyond our basic coaching levels. What if I had a course? What if I did the Successful Investor course and had a room specifically for the course, right? So there's all kinds of possibilities that we've been dreaming about, but and like I said, trying to rein myself in so I don't get too overly excited too quick. Right. So again, this room available 24/7. All you have to do is click the link to get in it. We also have access through apps, so you don't have to be at your computer. You can join through your room or your iPad or any other device that you have. So the other key for us, we want to make sure, right, when we polled people of what they were looking for, what they're hoping for in these coaching rooms, and what they were afraid of in these coaching rooms. And the yin was the yang, right? In that we want to have all this interaction, but then again, the biggest fear is that that interaction turns negative. So our biggest driver here, and this is not a democracy here, right? My job as a coach is to make sure that we maintain a supportive environment that's positive, right? And that it doesn't devolve into some kind of social media debacle. So leave your politics and leave your religion at the doorstep, please. All right. But you can count on me. I'll let you know if you're getting off track a little bit. All right. So quick tour on the slide. We'll go into the coaching room itself here, but I just wanted to kind of give you a tour on a static screen so that you can see where things are and give you a feel for what the experience will be. And bear in mind, the things you're going to see today, I'm an admin, so I have a couple little extra buttons across the top here that you don't see. You can't go live with your camera, you can't show your screen, or those kinds of things. So that, even with that in mind, we have an alerts function, and you can see in the upper left corner, this is where the alerts show up. But again, you can get those alerts across all your media devices. Jerry put one here that our practice session is scheduled for tomorrow. So, this is old now. We'll see the current alerts, but that pops up. You get the little ding, and we've been in discussions. I'm going to try to give like a 15-minute heads up before I get into a session, so you have time to like pull over to the curb and log in if that's what you want to do. On the panel below the alerts panel then is the chat room. Right now, you can't chat with each other, but everybody can see your chat and you can chat publicly. Right, so no private chat here, but of course you can scroll through that list as well. We have, by the way, and this is not necessarily impactful, but we've decided to clear this on Sundays. Kind of does a reset where it purges all of the old chat so that you know that we're current, and we'll just we'll play with that, see how that goes. All right, so turning over to the main panel here, and we call this the welcome mat, right? It's the welcome page that you'll see when there's no activity going on. We're not sharing anything. It's just the live chat room, and all the activity really is over here in the chat. But on this screen, you'll see there are a couple tabs: screens, notes, and files across the top. Right, so right now the green one is active, so I'm on the notes page. And on the notes page, we're looking at the welcome tab, which is basically just a screenshot of me. I know, you don't need to say it. But I have these other minor tabs, right? So we've loaded an introductory video. This is a screenshot, we'll show those to you. But in other words, I can put resources here. We can upload files, spreadsheets, whatever we want to do, right? We have the ability to upload files here. And when I go to screens, that's where I can share screens with the room, and we can share multiple screens at the same time from multiple presenters. So if you're an attendee to the Successful Investor Group coaching, it's usually Brian D'Amico and myself presenting. So we can have this interaction where, Brian wants to chime in and show something on his chart that he put together. It's an easy switch now. It's not all this navigational mumbo jumbo we had to do in GoToWebinar. All right, so the last thing we'll do is take a look at the archive button. We call this the hamburger button because it looks like a patty between two buns. There are sessions that we record, including the little updates that I might do. Typically, if it's video, it's recorded. Right, chat's not recorded, but if it's this video resource, it's recorded, and you'll find it under the archive button. Right, so hopefully you're getting a feel for the possibilities of this room, and so we're very interested in, this is brand new, so we're very interested in getting your feedback, and you take a look at it and see if you see some of the possibilities that we do. So with that, let me drag across. if I can find it. All right, so here's my university. And again, I'm in a lot of coaching groups because I'm a master member, an influential member of the media. But you may only have the successful investor coaching group, right? But that's what you need to see. You're at university.vectorvest.com. If you don't have the coaching service activated, I'll give you an opportunity to do that here in just a minute. So you may not have this. You may just go right down to your courses or, you know, the links to do the online trainings, that kind of thing. But once we get you activated into the coaching service, there's my coaching group or coaching room button. And I simply click it. Now there's some install stuff we have to do. That's part of those training videos. But the university is the gateway into the room. So I simply click on the link. Of course, I am already established here. And let's see if it will, we'll play screen poker here. Which one's it going to open on? I'll always enter as Todd Shaffer, but if you want to remain relatively anonymous, I could be Todd S. I could be Funky Weaker Bean. I can be whatever I want to be. The email, however, you can't change because that's how we know you are who you are and that you're supposed to be there. So, but you can put your public name there, anything you like, and keep it nice. All right, so I just click the link, and now we are in the room. Now, my screen resolution is low so that things are large enough that you can see. But here are those alerts, right? I can scroll that alert screen. The most recent thing I did, right? We did a coaching session on Thursday. Then I did one on the evening, right? Entering the room in a few minutes. Look at the video if you can't make it. So that was my alert that, hey, we're going to go live here in a minute. And it was requested I tighten that up a little bit, and I will, right? That's why the feedback is such a great thing. In our chat box, Brian D'Amico wished everyone a great weekend, but I can scroll back and see, right, some of the things we did. Hey, this is from me, right? Anyone take a long trade today? I saw follow through at about 10:40, right? Dovetails with what Jerry was just showing. I took a position in STRL. Phil and Vern and DC, they chimed in with trades that they did, and hopefully that's the kind of dynamic that we can establish. All right, so that's the chat box. Again, that will reset Sunday evening, I think at midnight. Jerry, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But here we're on the welcome tab, right? If I click, I'm now over here on these tabs, on the notes tab. Here's our introductory video, which basically introduces you to the coaching sessions that we do. Jerry's saying hello in the chat box. Very creative, Jerry. Here's that navigational piece that helps you learn how to watch that video. And then we have a series of help videos. Jerry just posted these a couple days ago. All right, some more help videos for navigating the room. All right, files is where I can update files. Screens, right now nobody's presenting. But if I share my screen, then I could have multiple screens here. And then I can do this little feature that says, bring everybody here. Or I can, even though I have multiple resources open, if I want everybody to see the chart that I'm showing now, or any of those resources, I can drag everybody to the same place. Now you can go navigate away from that again, right? At least gives me the ability to get us focused in the same place. And whether I can keep your attention or not may be a different question, but we'll see. All right. So some polling opportunities, which we've not really even played with yet. So lots of possibilities there. Currently, there are 13 people just hanging out in the room. All right. So those are active participants. Here's my little hamburger button. If I click on that, then if I come into the archives, here are the recordings that I've done, and they're on the server for 2 weeks. Right, so here's the group coaching session that I did. I'll also put this in the university resource in the course materials. Right, but those recordings are available to you here or in the university. And then if I have little updates that I do, those will be in here as well. So if I did a market update, for instance, like I did last week, then those recordings will be available to you here. They're only held for 2 weeks, but it's a chance, if you get the alert, but you can't get there right away, it's nice to know that there will be a recording so you're not going to miss anything. All right, but that is the coaching room. And hopefully I've given you a sense for some of the possibilities for this guy. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And not only that, but more effective in helping you and us become better at what we do. All right, so how do we get there? Let's talk about that. All I have to do is get rid of that guy. And it didn't get rid of that guy. Hang on a minute. There we go. Make sure I'm sharing on the right screen again. All right, am I back in the right place, guys?
Yes.
Okay. I'm waiting for the lag on. I'm monitoring the YouTube feed. But the setup for us, because we want everybody to come take a look. You may not like it. Okay, fine. Give us some feedback and we'll try to make it better. But we have created this 99-cent trial to the coaching room. Right? So address at the bottom, basically www.vectorvest.com/try-SI. That link. See if I can get to that link. Takes you to a page. So for 99 cents, that gets you into the coaching service. So normally the coaching service would come with VectorVest Premium, right? So we'll have to do that to get you into the university and access to the coaching room, right? So you'll get a little upgrade in your service for this 30-day time frame, but for $1, come see us, right? If you're already a member, just use the sign in button. If you're on YouTube land and you're new to us, right, then give us your information and we will get you started. All right. So there's the link. I'll let you screenshot that real quick if you like. Of course, along with that premium comes real-time data for the US market, right? No additional exchange fees, right? You'll also have all those university resources, and that includes, I didn't talk about that, but that includes in the university, you have the Quick Start course. There's additional resources within the university beyond the recordings and access to the room. All right, so come on in. The water's fine. Let us know what you think. And let's see if we can't make it fun and informative all at the same time. So that's my warm, open invitation to you to come and support successful investing and to see the room. So let's turn the corner and let's talk about, well, what am I going to see in that room a little bit? Right, beyond the room. So what do we do in successful investor coaching? Right, well, the purpose of successful investor coaching is to help us implement and really expand on the successful investor system as presented in the Quick Start course and the full successful investor course. That Quick Start course, free within the program or within the university, was the first step, the kind of the genesis of this idea. And it quickly became apparent to us as we were making those presentations that there were a lot of people who wanted to get, I like to say, deeper in the weeds on each of the turning points. So for instance, okay, you say wait for follow through. Well, what does that mean, right? So a presentation like Jerry's, and then how do I actually place that order? So that's all in the full course. But the quick start course, that's a 90-minute commitment of time. And that's enough to get you started to understand what we're doing and our perspective in particular in the successful investor coaching. Because the coaching we want to take that quick start course or the full course and expand on it, not just give you a static checklist that we're going to go look at every day. All right. So the coaching is our chance to enhance the coursework with real world experience and situations, demonstrate how to use the system, how you can customize it to your own personal approach. That system we like to illustrate with this graphic. Right, so on the outer ring, right, this outer green ring, successful investing, and just change the name of the program, swing trading, retirement investing, right? Each of these have their own goals, techniques, and mindset. In successful investing, the goal is to outperform the market, as represented by the SPX. Now, some years are going to be great. Some years are going to be losses. Well, if it's a down year, if we're down, it ought to be less than the market, right? So that's outperforming the market. But historically, the market returns 9-10% a year. And so we want to beat that on average. The techniques that we're going to use include position trading techniques, right? And there are several of them, but just generally, those are the tools we're going to use. And the mindset is one that avoids anxiety, one that's an end of day relaxed kind of approach to managing your portfolio and your trades. The pie slices inside the green ring then are kind of the nuts and bolts of the trading system. So all systems will have an issue or a topic of when to sell, right? So there should be rules that establish when to sell, when to buy, and what to buy. And the fact that these little circles are dancing around those pie shapes means that this is a rinse and repeat kind of process. So now we're talking about a process that's designed around goals, techniques, and a particular mindset or approach. And our goal is to outperform the market doing this and lower the temperature. All right, within those slices of pie then, right, those strategic elements are codified in a defined rule set. Right, and the key here is that all trading disciplines incorporate rules. Successful investing, the coursework and the coaching is an opportunity to clean up your process. Right, whether you're new to investing or have been investing for quite a while but find yourself struggling, right? Let's get it back to some principles, right? Some fundamentals that will get you back on track, all of the elements in balance, working integrated, working together, and then scale up if that's what you want to do, scale up from there. There are a lot of us who, at least for a portion of your portfolio, may not want to scale that up, right? Maybe your nest egg portfolio, this is a good fit, and you want to break off and do some swing trading or whatever with a little bit of fun money. Okay, great, right? All of those approaches will still have rules. Okay, so let's run the process. If we think of that schematic as an overview of the process, the first thing we want to do is start filling in those blanks. Now, the flow chart we had, the first piece is when to sell. I'm at cross purposes here, right? Because part of the when to sell decision will be impacted by what are current market conditions. For me, it's more intuitive. I open the program, I'm on the home page. The first thing I want to do is look at market conditions, right? So let me put on the real market conditions with the current VectorVest program. All right, so hopefully that looks pretty much the same because I took the screenshot of it last night, so it shouldn't have changed much, right? So we ran through this already today, but in successful investing, my rule set says that when you have a green light in the price column of the color guard and the MTI is less than 1.5, we should be buying stocks with impunity. If we're just coming off bottoming market conditions, right, and this is more of an explosive move off of for a bottom fishing opportunity, I'm still buying stocks, right? I just might do it more aggressively because I'm bottom fishing. So in a very simplistic methodology, I had a green light on Thursday, so I got ready to buy stocks on Monday. So I have a little saying I like to say, well, okay, I got a green light, but am I aggressive here or am I cautious here? So I'm going to buy a stock, but if I'm being cautious, I'm not going to buy 10, right? I'm going to buy 1, maybe 2, because I want to manage my risk exposure to the market. But I also don't want to find myself 6 months from now wishing that I had bought stock 6 months ago, right? So this is kind of a middle ground of get me in the market, but do it in a measured way. All right, so the next piece was, okay, based on that market analysis, what's going on in my current portfolio? So if I go to my portfolio, and I have, that time I had 1 stock in the portfolio, I want to review the performance of that stock and determine if I need to make any adjustments to the stop loss that I'm using on that current trade. So we have a whole discipline here, right? A rule set that we use, but essentially I'm marking out those rules visually here. The green line is my cost basis. At the time I took the trade, right, that's where I'm intersecting. At the time I took the trade, my line in the sand stop would have been the value of the VectorVest stop price on that day. The price, that gives the price a lot of room to wiggle. Price pulls back and gaps into this move higher. So we have a rule that says on gapping price action, I'm going to put a mental stop under that gapping candle low. Price continues to advance. So I put in an intraday high that gave me a gain in excess of 10%. So it's time from our rule set to start protecting those gains. So we call it the don't give back half rule, which means I don't want to watch my 10% winner turn into a loser. So I'll move my line in the sand stop from way down here to here to lock in at least a 5% gain. Now, there are a lot of ways, and even intradisciplines in VectorVest, there are a lot of ways that you can try to capture those gains. The key is, or the principle is, we're trying to capture those gains. The actual nuts and bolts of how you do that may vary, but we've established the principle. We've shown you our technique, Dr. DeLito's technique, really, because this all comes from him, of how we apply that VectorVest approach. You can see we pulled back an exhaustion candle here, right? We gapped higher and then sold into that. Pulled back the next day, and now we're just kind of digesting this big move, right? We moved quickly in a short amount of time. Price just kind of digesting that. Okay, but I'm still in the trade, and I've still captured my gain, so I can be patient now. All of these adjustments are done on an end-of-day basis. You can think about it as long as you need. You can jump into the coaching room and say, hey, should I be doing this, right? Get feedback from the other people in the room, get feedback from the coaches, right? So all of a sudden it becomes Team VectorVest instead of you out there alone. So I make my adjustments. The line in the sand stop is an actual stop loss that I enter with a brokerage, right? It's the hard stop, as opposed to a mental stop where, right, if price had, before I made my 10% gain, if price had immediately pulled back and broached my mental stop at the gapping candle low, then I would move my line in the sand stop up. So I don't want to devolve too much into trying to teach the whole course here this afternoon, but there are different rule sets for these different scenarios. All right, so that is the current trade in the position. So I've managed that trade. The next question is, okay, do I have buying power available? I do. should I be buying a stock, right? Well, the next thing was, should I be buying stocks? Well, I have a green light already in the color guard. I've established that. So yes, I want to buy a stock if I can find a good candidate. And then I want to make sure that the market and that candidate follow through the next day before I take the position. So last 2 weeks have been perfect setups for this presentation, right? The presentation 2 weeks ago, Steve Chappell did a presentation on how Dr. DeLito uses the stock viewer, using the different sort methodologies. So let's just go over to the stock viewer. Here is the stock viewer from yesterday at the close. Here's the stock viewer from Thursday night. This is what I saw Thursday night. Now, you can sort the stock viewer by, I'll leave it at VST, but you can sort it by anything you want, right? Any of those indicators or even custom indicators that you might create. Dr. David Paul is one of his favorites, and actually one of mine is RV times CI. Okay, you can do that. But just on the VST sort, no matter how you generate this list, whether you use the Unisearch tool, whether you use the viewers, whether you use the Midas Touch viewer is another popular one. However you generated that, maybe you took Kramer's recommendations from the night before. The underlying principle here is, from our position trade perspective, we want to take a look at the graphs and verify. And what are we looking for? Well, this is VectorVest Simple. I'm just going to click the graph all button. And this is true across all countries. I'm looking for, and the layout's already in there, VectorVest Simple. I'm going to take off the stop price, and I'm going to take off RT. Ultimately, what I want to see minimum is that the price is going bottom left to upper right, smoother the better. Driven by earnings going bottom left, upper right, smoother the better. I start with a 1-year time frame. So if I have, let's see what we get. These are just the top VST stocks. CELH. Well, earnings isn't going steadily higher. Right? In fact, it pulled back and it had a little bump, but it's well off its highs from a year ago. So no failure, right? I'm going to skip that guy. Right? So you can make that kind of gut response decision pretty easily just by looking. And the first thing I'd like to do is just look at the earnings pattern. But then does that earnings pattern reflect also a nice price pattern moving in that same direction? So even if I have, now here we're on an ETF, so it doesn't have earnings data, but if I have a price pattern that isn't going steadily higher, then maybe not so much a position trade. I might look at this on a shorter term basis and say, okay, well, a better short-term trade perhaps, right? But the MPI setup that Stan likes so much would be a great application here, right? Pure storage. Look at this rocket launch, right? So we like to avoid stocks on entry that are either going parabolic, as this one is, or have a lot of gapping action, as this one does. Why? Well, because often those overextensions in price, right? We see that advance so quickly, they often retrace just as quickly. So the possible exception to that is if you have a breakout out of congestion, right? If you break resistance, then we'll take those trades. But typically we're looking for something that's bottom left, upper right, smoother the better. And that was a good example here. Free of resistance. Actually, let me do this. I'm in the right account, so I even have it set up. Right, let's buy the stock that's free of resistance. Either the resistance doesn't exist or it's just broken through it. Right, so those are some of the things that we look for. And so what I did on Thursday night was I went through those charts. By the way, you can cherry pick things out of here too. I like to eliminate any stock that has negative earnings. In other words, they're losing money, or they have negative growth rates, or in this economy, I'm really interested in companies that actually have sales growth. Right, so those are some of the data points that might help me cull some of these guys from the list so I get the very best candidates. And for me on Thursday night, that list included and you saw it in the chat box in the coaching room. Viewers, where'd my tab go? Oh, I'm on it. Help, that would help. Watch this, viewer. Here were my candidates going into Thursday. Now, we talked with Jerry. We talked about follow through on the market, right? And we saw follow through on the market about 1040-ish. So here are the three candidates. Just look at them as candidates. Look at that 1 year time frame, bottom left, upper right, bottom left, upper right. Right. So as candidates, they look good. I also look at them on a long-term time frame to make sure I'm not looking at some long-term resistance. Those are weekly bars, right, on a 5 year time frame. I'll also take a look at the short term to make sure at the hard right edge that I'm still in trend, that I'm still putting in higher highs and higher lows. So what did I see on these at 1040 in the morning? Well, let's just rock back our clock. At 1040 in the morning, everybody was up. Right? Biggest mover just by a hair was First Citizens Bank. If I take a look at their graphs, actually, did I do that right? Hang on a minute. 6.2, yes. Okay. We want to do that on Thursday because that wouldn't help us. So let's go to an intraday graph. Not 1 minute bars. Let's do something more like 5 minute bars. And put a date line on 1040. Right? So, okay, the market's moving. Is my stock moving? Right? So First Citizens Bank is in uptrend, although it's kind of been flat in the last 20 minutes. Fuse is actually still lower. Here's the opening candle, right? That's the beginning of the day. It hasn't put in a higher high yet. It actually pulled back with the market and is yet to establish a higher high. So it might have become a candidate for me over here, but I'm looking for the follow through. STRL at the time was the best candidate. So out of those three candidates, I chose STRL for the portfolio because it was most persistent in trend and it was continuing to move higher. Now that I have that position, right, I'll establish the VectorVest stop price as my line in the sand stop. Notice that's why my red line is where my red line is. There's my fill price. And I now have the setup. If I take earnings off of here, there's a setup on the trade. Price action pulled back. We broke out above the prior swing high. I have some real estate here, right? If I'm going to give up half of this move, right, it puts me back down in this time frame or in this space. Plenty of room to that line in the sand stop for this to have a pullback, recover, and move higher because I'm here for more than a minute. Right? This is a position trade. And so that perspective is driving those decision points. And that's what we do in successful investing. We make adjustments to that on a daily basis, rinse and repeat. So now I have two positions in the portfolio. I got another green light yesterday. So I'll run the list, right? Create my watch list of my best candidates and look for them to follow through on Monday if the market follows through and take another position or two. Particularly if this market, right, we looked at those support and resistance lines. If the market takes out that resistance level, then I'll feel much better about becoming more aggressive. It'll certainly be tepid until I get to that above that price level. Makes sense? So we had some conversation in the chat earlier about, okay, was this just short covering? Well, that in the process, right, in the larger cycle, that's what happens. Right? That's what creates the explosive moves is a potential change in sentiment where people have to cover their short positions or their hedges, get you an explosive move in price. Well, how long does that last? Right? That gets overtaken by money flowing back in, and that's what extends the trend. That's why 1 or 2 days bounce doesn't make a trend. but it does alert your spidey senses that, hey, pay attention because this could turn into a rally, maybe a rally that fizzles. But again, the only way to not have regret 6 months from now that you missed it is by taking action in the shorter time frame. Now, if you want to wait instead of for a RT kicker, green light buyer RT kicker signal, you want to wait for the DW signal? Okay. Well, you got it, right? You want to wait for the confirmed up call? Okay. Right? Those are all viable choices. And the idea is on a probabilistic approach, right? Which one of those signals puts the probabilities of success in your favor for what you're trying to accomplish, whether you're an aggressive trader or an investor? Right? That's how we put the system together. And that's what we teach in successful investing. And then you can scale it and tune it however you like. All right. And we teach you how to do that. All right. So let me, first of all, say thanks for your kind attention. And let me, while you're reading, thank you, let me put up the our contact information for you. Let me take a quick check. And I don't know if anybody wants to chime in here for me, but let me take a look at the chat and see if there's anything we need to catch up on. If you would, if you still have a question, go ahead and repost it, cut and paste if you can. I'll try to sandbag it here for just a couple minutes. Well, a couple seconds, maybe more appropriate. I know there's a little time lag between when I say the words and they get through the YouTube universe. So far, looking good. It's all perfect. So I hope to see you in the room. Let us know what you think, ways we can make it better for you. And we're always pursuing opportunities to become better at what we do and more useful to you. All right, with that, we'll say good afternoon, go have a day, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.